Hey, Timmy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Drawing Hive. I think we're having a little audio issue there, but it is Thursday night. We're ready to draw. If you're here to draw, you're in the right place. Just a reminder that Drawing Hive is a product of Visual Arts Passage, and what Visual Arts Passage does is we create online mentorships and courses, resources to help illustrators and painters develop careers. I've been doing it for a long time and having a lot of success doing it. So if you have interest, take a look. And then if there's interest in drawing, we got a really great night tonight. We have some beautiful photography um, from the Netflix series Ripley. And Timmy, this is one that I've seen every show, every episode.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Oh, you watched
absolutely.
it?
I did. It's beautiful. It really uh, it has a noir mood to it. I mean, you think about, great cinematography, you think about, feels like the age of a Hitchcock film, has a feel of a Hitchcock film even. But it's beautifully shot and beautifully lit, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Well, I love Andrew Scott because he was Moriarty in the Sherlock Holmes series. So
Yeah. Well, he was excellent in this.
All right.
And so here's our reference for tonight. Unbelievable photography, perfect for this, perfect to draw from. Um, I
Already
love
black
the
and white for you.
already black and white. Yeah, I love the fact that the cat was a character and they actually promoted it quite a bit. So
that cat is
um
beautiful.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, I could have done 4 shots just of the cat. They had the best photography, which I thought was fun.
I love that.
Anyway, I'm ready to draw. Cassandra, I'm sure is ready to go. We're gonna do you can do all 4 of these. We do two 20-minute poses, and then we do a 40-minute pose where you can choose to do one all night or you can do all four. I encourage you to explore. So here we go.
All right. And those of you on Discord, if you could please help us come up with a hashtag for the night. It's got to be short, it's got to be simple, and it's got to be on theme. So after each pose, we're going to share work. We're doing 20, 20, and 45 minutes. So 3 different ones. And share your work with us on Instagram, and we're going to check it out at the end of the night. I know we've got Adam joining us a little bit later,
Awesome.
so we'll be set. And for anyone wondering, um, summer semester starts in July, but early bird is next week. It opens May 21st. So, and it's only 1 week long. We got some complaints. They were like, you're running your early bird too long. And it's not fair for like the true early birders. And so we're doing this to be fair. So it's 1 week and you got to be early.
Hence the term early bird.
Yeah, exactly. John, I think you have a really bad connection. And I think that's why my audio was cutting out earlier. But it's hard for me to tell.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Sorry.
Okay. Am I breaking up badly, Timmy?
No, your audio is fine. It's mostly video, but it'll be good. It might be better when we switch cameras. So, Cassandra, you were talking about a piece you just finished up.
Yep. Yeah.
Can you tell us
Uh,
about it? Can I share it?
not yet. Not
Oh,
yet.
okay, I won't share
Um,
it. Oh, then.
I'll be excited to share it soon.
Yeah.
But I did a piece for Modern Eden. They have a annual portrait show that's always fun to work for. And this year it's myth. So you can pick like mythical, like they're looking for different kinds of gods or like mythical creatures. Just myth is the theme. So I decided to do a chimera, which is a lion head, a goat head that's like mid back that breathes fire. I didn't do the fire in mine. And then there's a snake for a tail, and the head of the snake is at the end of the tail. Sometimes there's dragon wings. I kept those off. But for some reason, my painting of it, my lion came across like a romance novel cover, and he looks kind of like Fabio. So it's just, I was showing Timmy and John it,
It's really
and
good.
it's just, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, but it is super random.
Yeah. I I'm still really upset that the romance novel model, for
Oh,
those
I'm
who don't
still
know,
bummed about that. I'm
the
still,
romance an individual reached out to us and was like, I would love to be featured, which is a hilarious thing to reach out and be like, I think you guys should use all of my photos for Drawing Hive.
I was
And
an immediate, I agree.
yeah, but it was like kind of a wild, it was a little bit ego. but it was a good recommendation. He is the most drawn romance novel model ever.
Which I assumed it was Fabio. It's not.
It's not, it's him. He's been on the cover of like hundreds and hundreds of romance novels and like goes to Comic Cons and stuff. And I think he wanted money, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I'm
Because
sorry, we don't.
I think he was a little disappointed with how ragtag our operation is. Yeah.
Surprise, nobody gets paid here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was a little sad because I just thought it was the definition of like a great drawing.
Yeah.
Ooh. That was a long time ago though. That was like
It was a
many
long time
years.
ago. I Every once in a while when we come across something weird, I try to really get him involved. The the treasure hunter.
Oh yeah, the treasure hunter.
That guy was weird. I was that that interaction became a quick like maybe you wouldn't be a good guest. Yeah,
And I gotta blow dry real quick.
yeah.
Maybe we should contact Fabio. Maybe this is a
That
sign.
that might be the answer. John, what have you been working on this week? This
I finished my 7th large landscape for this client here in Kansas City, and I'm delivering them tomorrow. And I'm pretty excited about it.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah. They're all of a specific location in Kansas City, a park. Actually, it's that reference I shared when we did landscape that night.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up not exact reference, but I did 4 pieces that you can see from that same piece of reference.
That's so cool. So you know you have good reference.
Yeah, it's a starting place. Jimmy, I have I think a fun thing to talk about. It's an extension of what I started last week to talk about for experimentation, and
Yeah,
um, I think it will be healthy to
a
talk
little
about.
a little part two.
A little part 2.
Sweet.
Nice. What's the On the topic of experimentation? I know you're going to jump into this, so don't spoil your talk, but what's like the furthest from like your comfort zone you've ever gone with like making art? Like like John, have you ever done like sculpture or any like have you ever tried your hand at anything like that?
I've done a bunch of 3D stuff, like not directly art related, but I learned to weld. I thought that was pretty fun.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's definitely an art.
um, I did and I've built all kinds of stuff and designed more than I built actually, but I like making stuff. Three-dimensional. Um, I always thought that was kind of like my 3D outlet was like building things, whether it's tables or uh well, you have a bench in your
I
house.
was just gonna ask, did you weld that bench?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
This is a museum worthy bench. And wasn't it inspired by bench that you
Yeah,
saw
it's
in a museum?
inspired by a bench I saw at museum at the Museum of Modern Art.
That's cool.
It's
Where'd
a
you learn
good
to weld?
it's a good gift.
It's a long story. For I don't know, like 15 years, my wife and I we bought a bunch of houses and kind of I did the design work on them and had them remodeled, and it was kind of a 3D outlet for me, something I did that actually did very well financially until 2009 and kind of had to start.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's very impressive.
I recently taught myself how to weld. Uh, but I'm honestly better off with like duct tape. Like it's about how long the shelf life of my welds is about the same as Elmer's glue.
Did you learn to weld to help keep your old car together?
No, that would be dangerous. That would be no. I learned to weld because there's a gate near our house and it fell apart and I welded it back together. And now it's just one of those things that I weld back together every few months. But I don't know. I can only watch so many tutorials where I get fried. But yeah. Um yeah. Cassandra, have you ever like because you seem to have a lot of things that take you off the beaten path
Yeah, yeah,
creatively.
I love to experiment and work outside of what I normally do. It gives me more ideas when I come back to what I'm doing. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like I just like downloaded a book today that someone wrote. I follow her that she makes pigments out of everything, like dandelions, and I just downloaded her book
Yeah.
today to learn how to do that. But yeah, like that show I did, the train show, like that was a big stretch. That was the first time I always like to play with sculpture, but I've never played with it like that. And then with the intention of selling it. It's always normally just play and see what happens.
Yeah. I imagine that also maybe makes returning to what you do comfortably like kind of refreshing.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Yeah.
like, especially after I have a solo, I love to take a moment to do something that is not related to things I sell, to just play.
Yeah.
And then it's not precious and it's not intended for anywhere.
Right.
Like like I'm crocheting a life-size swan bust for my girls' bedroom. So it's taken a while. It's actually, I think it may be bigger than life size, but um
Wow.
it's just something that's really fun and silly and I can take my time. There's no deadline, so I love that. Yeah, I recommend all kinds of experimenting with work.
Yeah.
I always wanted to learn glass, like stained glass. That's on my list.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't blowing glass like really bad for you?
Don't know. That I'm just more scared of burning myself, but I love the
Yeah.
idea of learning to like make stained glass and let it on my own and things like that.
Yeah. I could see blowing glass being a health hazard.
It's just you're holding on to things that are also melty hot. That just
Yeah.
I feel too clumsy for that one.
Here's a question for you that's I think pretty funny. How do you avoid making medieval how do you avoid when you draw cats, how do you avoid making medieval cat faces?
Medieval cat face.
You
What do
know
you
where
mean?
they're like kind of like it's kind of like baby Jesus faces too. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. I mean, honestly, I treat all animals' faces just like I do human. I look at the shapes and just try to pay attention to like the placement of things. I block it in the same way I would a human, and just for me, my brain more just breaks it down. I'm not always thinking about it as a cat. I'm just thinking about where's the lights, where's the darks, where's the midtones, and like piecing it together. And then as I tighten in, like right now, like just this guy, I'm just thinking of the shapes. I'm not really thinking about specifically it being Andrew Scott. I'm thinking about like, okay, I know that this is where the most direct light is. The rest is kind of a midtone, and then I can bring the dark in, I can bring the light back in, and I'm just thinking about those things. If that's the question you're asking, I treat the animals the same way. Does that does that answer your question?
I think it's pretty good. I mean,
It was a good answer. I don't know if it
yeah,
answered.
Yeah, I don't know if it answered your question.
I think it did, but we'll see.
Uh,
Jimmy, whenever you want me to talk about
Let's
my
do it.
topic for tonight,
Right
I'm
on.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna chime you in.
All right. I'm going to continue what I was talking about the other day. I don't think I did a great job explaining what I really wanted to talk about, and that's I thought it'd be better to show examples of somebody chasing and experimenting throughout their career. And the best person I can think of doing that is my father. And sorry to use him so much on here. It's just I know him as an artist better than anybody, any other artist that I know. Um, and I think he was magnificent in that journey. So I'm going to just show you images and talk to you about how it kind of started and then where he took it and experiment. He would always say, you know, you have to think of it as an artist, you should be searching all the time and should be experimenting. He said, think of it as like a scientist laboratory, you know, just constantly looking for something. And I really do think that's how he spent most of his career as an artist doing. At times, you know, he said that he got, you know, popularity, things became because he was a very, very well-known illustrator and you know people bought you know came to him to do something based on what he's already done and so he was always battling that because he always wanted to like after he felt like he accomplished something he always wanted to go to the next thing. So I'm going to show some images and just talk to you about the different materials and see how it see how he progressed through materials and different looks. And it's not just some of it is mindset also, because this is, you know, he was looking at post-impressionists when he was first started as an illustrator, um, as a freelance illustrator. He started as a, you know, doing car layouts for car catalogs. It was um, uh, very much a different thing than working as a magazine illustrator. Um, but I guess maybe I should preface that he didn't study painting in art school. he didn't even study really, he studied guest illustration, but his degree was in advertising design. And he first got hired from an agency to, he was doing more design work than he was illustration work. So this was all stuff that he was trying to teach himself how to paint. These were two very early projects in his career. The piece on the right is done purely with oil crayons and maybe a little bit of dry brush oil paint connected to it. So there wasn't a lot of very facilitated painting techniques that he had. He was just trying to figure out by looking at other painters and how they did things and things in the way he wanted things to look. And I think it became very beneficial for him because he just explored with materials all the time. The one on the left is acrylic washes and oil crayon, and the one on the right is the same. Acrylic washes underneath and oil crayon back into it. Started using mixed media, using ink, and then he would draw back on top of back on top of thin down acrylics with Prismacolor pencils. And it was just really really searching. This the technique that Chris Payne, many other illustrators kind of popularized. It was an invention of my father's, of doing a drawing, putting an oil wash over the top of it, lifting it out, the oil wash with a kneaded eraser on a very specific type of board, working back into it with Prismacolor pencil and dry brush paint. That's how these were done. And the one on the right, he even used, he started bringing airbrush into it. And being able to really change value and color very subtly with airbrush. But all of this, clouds and stuff was, in detail, the rendering is with airbrush and Prismacolor pencil on top of a lifted out oil wash that's over a drawing. And he would do a drawing in graphite or charcoal and then put like a burnt umber, burnt sienna wash on over the top of it about the color of Jefferson's face here, and just lift it out very carefully and model it with a kneaded eraser negatively, and then render back into it with pencil.
So cool.
Very controlled. Even like when he was doing, this looks like fairly straight up drawing, extremely good drawing of John Denver, great likeness, but that is done on vellum paper, and it's actually a print of a drawing. He did a very heavy graphite drawing and then put like linseed oil over the top of the whole thing, put another piece of paper on top of it and used a brayer to roll it out, and then drew back into the printed one. He was just constantly trying to find techniques and things that were interesting to work with. You can very much see the graphite drawing. This is for the Tommy the Who album, the rock opera. And you can see the drawing in graphite underneath and the wash, and then that's just black acrylic paint around the outside. Just trying all kinds of different techniques. These are done on, excuse me, these are done with Prismacolor and dry brush, oil paint, and even some oil crayon on a mid-tone Canson paper. It's called tobacco brown. The color was, but all of this is just drawn kind of negatively on top of, he was drawing the lights on top of this paper. And then just just kind of painting delicately back into it to get the mark making that he wanted. This was the cover of the Atlantic Monthly. This was an inside piece. It was all on Sigmund Freud. The piece on the left, a very popular piece that he did of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's a black and white graphite drawing is how it started. Then he put an oil wash over the top of it, lifted out the lights. Then he um, glazed back the flesh tone with an airbrush, and then he painted the flat black, rendered in Prismacolor in the head. And then this is like oil and wax, very impasto painting with oil on the back of it. This is probably the most difficult technique that he did. It's really hard to do.
So good.
Yeah, it's a portrait of Pete Townsend for Rolling Stone. Really fun. It hung in I don't know if it still does. They own it, but it hung in their offices, corporate offices for a while. But it is dry new pastel on marker paper, but he would wet the paper completely with like a paint thinner or a turpentine, and then draw back into the wet paper with a dry pastel, and it would melt the pastel. And it's very unforgiving, and you got to pretty much you be willing to explore with your drawing on it, because and then he realized after a while that he could let it dry and then remove some of it and then work back into it. It was just something he kept experimenting with. I've never seen anybody do anything like this before, material wise. And it was all from experimentation. It was just trying how to achieve different things. Uh, this started with pastel underneath, and then he painted back on top of it with wax and oil paint. Both of these started that way. This is purely pastel on mid-tone paper. This is Prismacolor
Amazing.
and uh, I can, he could have done it a number of ways, but I know all of this line is in Prismacolor. This is I think it was probably done on that mid-tone paper, and then he just drew the lights in with Prismacolor and dry brush oil paint back into it. Sometimes he would use oil, sometimes he would use dry pastel. The one on the right is one of my favorite pieces of his. Just absolutely love it. It's so indicative of him, of just such really beautiful value control, thinking about the shape design, but experimenting. This one's pretty straightforward as far as how he did it. It's a oil lift out, and he worked back into it with oil crayons and dry brush paint. The one on the left is pretty straight up oil paint. Um, uh, but he had facilitation with so many different things, and he was just constantly trying to get a different look and feel. Um, and then some of that's mindset too. He's obviously looking at reference, um, whether it be from life or from photography. Now, these were from photography, I'm sure. But but these pieces, he didn't use any reference. He just made up the heads. And, he's using a collage on the one on the right. And he's using, the reason I put this in, it's similar technique. He's using oil pastels and dry brush paint, but uh, it's the mindset of drawing without photography. Things were very photographic or very, focused on realism here, and totally departing, trying something, experimenting with the cognitive aspect of making art, not just the material. The still life on the left, that started as I was around when we did that. It was Prismacolor, excuse me, not Prismacolor, uh, the new pastels, the dry pastels I draw with all the time on a marker paper. And then again, that really just soaking the whole thing with um, paint thinner of some sort, and then painting back into it with wax and oil paint, letting it dry first, then painting back into it. But he would get, this is all that wet pastel.
And
and you had very little time to work. You know, when he did something like this, it was like, it was an hour. That's all the time limit he had to do on to do a piece like that, because it had to be, that's the time limit he had on it for the materials. It's another one. But he was looking for, started to do landscape, started to paint things around him. He was looking for a different look and feel. So he would try all kinds of different materials. Now this is going to get you.
Yeah.
I love both of these pieces, and his all of the darks. He was painting on masonite, and he laid down everything in flat shape with acrylics, just just in the shape design, just painted them flat. And then he painted all of the heavy darks is roofing tar. And so he would mix roofing tar, get it to a consistency. He would mix a dryer into it and put it down with a palette knife. And he realized it was a great color. It was like this beautiful, somewhere between burnt umber and burnt,
Burnt sienna.
and well, yes,
There was a
yeah,
warmth to it.
there was a warmth, that had just this, yeah, real rich feel to it, and it was extremely tactile. I mean, it just had a lot of dimension to it, and so he
Mhm.
really liked that feel for the landscapes, and he used it a lot for about, this is something more straightforward, but it's got roofing tar in it also.
It was so cool to watch. I still haven't used it because I'm like, I don't understand how it works. I want to play with it, but I just seeing your dad work with it. Oh my gosh.
This is an acrylic with an extender with just straight up acrylic paint with he's using it's not a Dorland's wax, it's a different type of wax that accepts acrylics really well. But it was just, you know, it's a 6 foot painting. It's a very big painting. But again, looking to do different things. This is a piece that started with all collage underneath, and you can see the prints that he glued down to his substrate and then painted back into it. The darks again, he took a really wide. Actually, I have one of them. This was actually his, and that's what he put his roofing tar down with, and that's what
I remember that.
that's what he painted with. It just, said and again, that's a lot of these things are, 4 feet square, 4 by 5 feet. So they have a lot of scale to them. But then he would tighten back, he'd come back in and, want to, he was fantastic drawer. And so drawing the figure, these were started out as pastels, and then he would work back into it with oil paint and a wax, and sometimes with roofing tar. These this is on masonite. This one's on paper. The one on the left's on masonite, and this is just watercolor over the top of it.
Hmm.
He would try anything, and just trying to get. These are both very large paintings, and they started out with a lot of paper collage and would paint back into it with acrylics and eventually oils on top of it. I showed this. I love this little house
Oh,
that
that's so cool.
he would photograph houses and go and get them printed out, the photography, blow them up, print them out, and then tear them apart and then glue them back together where they were all askew. It just that's how he got. Look at this, window.
Oh my gosh.
It was so interesting. He just wanted something really interesting in his design, and then he would paint back over it with uh, with wax and oil paint. And he used a lot of paint sticks at this time too. Another one. But I
That's
mean,
so
just,
cool.
just think about the difference in mindset from where he was going, that very academic figures that he was capable of doing, and to wander this far from that, to keep searching. And they just get wilder and wilder as he just kept chasing. Look at the, the cloth and the paper towels and things that he, tape, things that he glued down into his paintings as he was working on them. Trying to develop a really incredible surface. Yeah, you don't, again, it's like again, he's not drawing from like photography, to do these things. This is all like an invention of how he remembers or what he wants these. He had actually amazing control of this, um, to be able to make very interesting, or maybe he could recognize really when something was working at a
Mm,
high level. But he would just shove things around. I absolutely love these.
wow.
There's a series of 10 of them, and I actually have them all. They're absolutely beautiful. They're all about life size.
Wow. What it what is that like what I mean,
It's kind of what I'm playing around, what I played around with last week and what I'm playing around with now. Uh,
mhm.
but these were water based, like neocrayons, the watercolor,
Okay, uh-huh.
and I don't know if he worked back on top of them with oil paint or not. Um, but he started him with that and then he dissolved it. I'm trying to do it with oil crayons right now. And he just kept exploring with materials, back and forth. This is, the one on the left is collage with roofing tar, with oil wax, I mean, with oil paint and Dorland's wax mixed into it for transparency.
Mm,
Uh, Obviously, a lot of collage to start with.
so cool. Like
I have no idea how he did this. I
like
have,
the swing that his brain takes. That's what blows my mind. I mean, just comparing like I love this collection you put up. Thank you, John. Like to see the level that his brain can swing for image making is it's just inspiring for sure.
yeah, but it's, that I keep looking back to it and thinking about it because I was around him so much and watched him go through all these, always trying different things. And, I mean, you get into some real difference when you get into here,
Mhm.
but the materials were the first step. And he'd always say that it's like, I need to figure out how to use this and see if I can figure out how to make something work. And, he found that the right materials for what he was trying to accomplish. Um, these all started with that wetting the paper. This is on a layout paper and wetting the paper with the paint thinner and then going back in with pastel and then going back in with wax and oil paint on top of it. And you got these just, really, really, really fun design work, but the mark making is just perfect for this.
The texture is gorgeous.
Again, and again, it's not the jump off can be, I think, to get people moving in the right way is the materials. Is
Mhm.
just try something different. Try to, fail. Just experiment. Don't be afraid. And then, the mindset of absorbing, all kinds of different type of art, the cognitive aspect of it, I think the materials is the driver and it gets you moving in the right direction. Anyway, I thought this would be a good series of pieces to show to talk about that.
Heck
It's
yeah, it is.
it still
So
amazes me.
cool. So cool.
This amazes me. It all comes from one artist.
Mm-hmm.
It does had was did so many different things, and it was all about exploration and trying.
Well, that he never let himself be pigeonholed. I think it's so often we do it to ourselves, and he never let that happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to go back to failing with my oil crayons here.
That was great. And on that note, everybody, let's move on to the second pose. You all had a pretty healthy first one, full 40 minutes. So these next two are going to be a little bit speedier. So please post your work to Instagram. Tonight's hashtag is, thanks to Julian, it is hashtag Ripley Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive, and Visual Arts Passage. Please tag us. We're going to check it out at the end of the night. Lot of positivity for what you just did, John. People are liking it. Keep it up.
Good.
We also have art news later tonight. We'll wait till Adam's in here so we can weigh in on it. Art news is entirely funded by Cassandra this week.
It was a big week. It was a
It
big
was a
week.
big week. It was a big week for news. That's why we have art news has to take a couple weeks off and then good stuff happens.
Yeah, I was just like, "Hey Timmy, I found one. Oh, I found
Yeah.
another one. Did you hear about this?"
Yeah.
I pestered you.
You can tell that we've oversaturated art news when I start doing like dinosaur bone stuff. It's just like, I don't know, if somebody found something, it was cool.
Well, I try to be like, if I genuinely was like, I
Yeah.
was reading this, I wasn't looking for it. Like, that's when
Yeah.
I get excited about art news.
Yeah. And yeah, it's some good stuff. So yeah. Someone said your dad definitely became my new favorite artist. It's nice.
When you held up that scraper, John, I could hear the sound in my head of him just scraping at like when he was doing those kind of geometric landscapes of like farms. I could just hear the scraping because it would just be like an hour of like just blocking things out.
Well, she was one of a kind, I'll tell you that much.
Oh my goodness.
And you know, the habit of trying and experimenting, of trying things that are you're uncomfortable with. And you know, obviously this is not the way I normally draw. But it's really healthy to, you know, it first of all, it's as I said last week, this is like drawing with lipstick. And you don't have a lot of control of it, of the marks it makes. And I usually draw with more controllable things, or use more controllable material. And it's really refreshing to just like go at something with kind of reckless abandonment
Mhm.
and not worry about it.
It's it's very freeing.
Yeah. And you know, you don't know, and what I've been discovering of doing this, I've only done, I did one right before we started, was playing around with it. This was my warm up for this.
Oh, that looks cool.
Kind of, I mean, I didn't, I kind of stopped. I should have kept going. I did this one. This one was like just to see if this color worked. And it's like it's like a 3 minute drawing. Um, but they're they're much less accurate and much more uh freeing than the way I normally work. And there's something I really am enjoying about it.
Fantastic. Let me blow dry real quick.
I'm discovering there's there's some colors that don't move at all. There's some that go darker, like this red. I'm discovering. Um, and some that go lighter. I thought this green might go real dark. I hadn't tried it before, but it didn't really.
It's fascinating.
But it's a lot of fun to play with.
It's cool. I
And
like
then
to work with it.
it's, kind of, you know, see what happens if you go and you work back into it.
I finally got around to watching the Nicholas Cole guest speaker. Uh, he was so great. And I liked that he when you were talking about this, it reminded me of the quote where he was saying that like when you're coming up with ideas, use a dull pencil, and he uses post-it notes because he doesn't want anything to be precious, and it just by freeing yourself from being tight with ideas, like in using crayons or dull pencils or things like that, it lets your brain kind of open up with ideas too.
Yeah, I think there's a no, even like again, this may not have a great likeness or anything to him, but um, that's not what I'm trying to achieve here. I guess I'm going to try to pull it together a little bit, but um, I know I think if I keep playing around with working this way, I'm going to figure something really fun out.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
All right. Art news is going to be happening in the third act of the show tonight, and it's ready, and I'm excited.
Oh gosh, the art world is so entertaining sometimes.
It really
And
is.
this week I just felt like they just gave it to us on a plate, on a
Yeah.
beautiful platter.
Anytime a billionaire makes the news related to art and it doesn't have to do with them purchasing it, it's always funny.
There's gonna be a laugh.
It's always funny. There's no way. It's, they never seem to ask themselves like, maybe this isn't gonna look good considering I'm a
Oh,
billionaire.
so much of like could happen if they just took a moment and thought about it.
Yeah, I know. If I was a billionaire, I'd be like, I should probably lay low.
Yeah.
Like,
But instead they're all like, nope.
I think causing a ruckus might not be a good idea. Yeah. Oh man. Um, yeah. Um, I had a, you know what? I had a pretty fun teachable moment this week that I thought was really great. That the lesson that I learned was always give people the benefit of the doubt, if you can afford to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a job that I edited. It was fully wrapped up, and it's all comedy stuff. I'm not really like I'm doing it at night, and it's just for fun, and so I don't take it too seriously, and but I we had like an agreed upon amount, right? And I get paid by this, the job's done. I get a payment. It's comics, so they kind of fly by the seat of their pants. It's like not professional at all. It's like a Venmo transaction, right? And and it was like half of what I was anticipating, like
Oh.
of an agreed upon amount. And I was like, huh, this isn't good. And I don't really care that much, but you kind of like, oh, that's like really like is this really happening or whatever. And so I just thought, what, maybe there's something, maybe something really weird happened, or I'm dealing with kind of kooky people, maybe they just got mixed up. And so I sent a message to another person, try not to mention names, everybody can guess who I'm talking about. But I sent a message to another person, I'm like, and I was just like, I'm just gonna be like blindly optimistic about it. And I was like, hey, thank you so much for X dollars. I had a blast working on this. And you know, I had to ship some stuff out. Maybe you guys, whenever you have a chance, if you could reimburse me for that, it would be awesome. Immediately get a response. Oh my God, you got paid what this other person was supposed to get paid. I'm so sorry. Let me sort this out.
Oh, nice.
And so it was like one of those things where it was like, I could have sent this like really tense. 10 years ago, I would have sent a email that I would have read like 100 times, and it would have been like,
You would have overthought it.
I would have overthought it. I would have sent this message that would have been like, I feel, this is really disappointing. And, I would have like tried to really dig in on it, and I would have made an awkward situation out of an honest mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't
No,
know,
you're
like,
allowed to think that you were allowed.
absolutely, absolutely. You're allowed to think that. And had it gone the other way, where it turned out they were like, we're just gonna, take advantage of the person.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have the option to like, well, I can bring it up. I can still bring it up later, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't become an issue at all. It was just an
Yay.
honest mistake. And I don't know. I would not have like I would say that I barely sidestepped it at the age that I'm at now. And I know 10 years ago I would have created an implosion of relationships because of it. Because I would have assumed I think when I was younger, I always assumed people did not have me in their best interest. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
You know,
This is like you evolved moment.
it felt that way. It felt like
Yeah.
wow, I didn't expect that at all.
Like, I mean, I think it's a beautiful example of you actively chose not to assume the worst and just thank them for the opportunity and let it
Yeah,
rest for the moment and let everything rest for the
yeah,
moment. And I think that is a maturity in the situation for sure.
yeah, yeah. And that being said, like I'm not saying that some people wouldn't have tried to take advantage, and I mean,
Right, and that'll
I've
still
had
happen.
people, like legitimately do it. It's just I could always give them the benefit of the doubt and then challenge them like later, I think.
Hmm.
Sure, they'd be like, you seem pretty chipper in that first message. And I'd be like, well, I was trying to give you an out. Like.
Trying to be cool.
Yeah, I was trying to be cool about it. I was kind of feeling it out. I didn't want to make things out. There's so many ways you can like readdress it, and reframe it.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. It was like a notable thing for me where I was like, oh, I don't know. I also am at the stage where I'm like when something like that happens, I'm more like bummed because I'm like, this was so fun. And now I'm like, you're just like, dang, is this really happening? Yeah. But it was great. It was just an honest mistake, and somebody else got paid twice as much on accident.
Oh
Yeah, how
my
did that
gosh.
conversation go?
I know, right?
Yours
Yeah.
was your conversation was the easy one.
Yeah, mine was super
Uh-huh.
easy. Yeah. Some other person was like, "Oh my God." Yeah. Uh Somebody asked John, this is from Marcy, John, have you ever tried working with Neocolor water soluble crayons?
Yes.
What was your experience with that?
I haven't worked with them enough. I have a set of them on the other side of the room. Those two heads that I showed you that I really liked of my father's, those were the he started those, the red and green. He started those with those neo colors. They're what I've played with the little that I've played with them, I enjoyed them.
Hmm.
But I for some reason I don't think about it, but I almost always end up with oil at the end. And so that's probably why I haven't played around with them enough. But I guess you could work with, you can work oil on top of anything, pretty much. I am enjoying this.
It's looking cool, man.
Well, I'm figuring out how to control it a little bit more.
Mm.
At first I didn't know I could continue to work back into it. Like you re-wet it. But you can.
Cassandra, have you ever had anybody pay you using Venmo?
No, I don't really use Venmo. I use more just PayPal because that's just what
Okay.
I'm used to.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm stuck in like a Venmo thing and I hate it. It's-
I feel like honestly, like they're probably all very similar in that
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not a fan of it.
I think PayPal owns both of them. I don't know.
Probably. Or somebody owns PayPal and Venmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that sounds about right. Whenever, and John, I think I know your answer to this, but when somebody's like interested in your artwork, are and let's say they're not another artist, or I don't know, maybe they are another artist. How do you feel like how do you feel about when they propose a sort of trade or kind of like a non-cash exchange? Like they just propose it. Like,
Mhm.
do you give them a kind of an eye roll? Are you open to hearing it out usually? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm usually real open to hearing it out. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the times I've almost always traded with everybody.
Really?
I
Yeah.
made John trade with me.
Yeah.
I
But
didn't give
Are
him a choice.
I've had some really big wins on trades.
I won on that one.
I don't know about that. But every day I walk by uh a John Collier that I have and a Gary Kelly that I have and a Robert Heindel and uh, Chris Payne, things that started out as that was the reason how that stuff started as a trade. And um, I'm real happy that I didn't initiate them all. I initiated a couple of them, but not
Mhm. Yeah, I initiated like the one with John for sure. And then there's others that have been initiated with me, and gosh, it's just been so fun, like getting an opportunity to get somebody else's artwork in my house. Like not every trade is something where I'm
Mhm.
like, that one doesn't quite work just because the amount of time for the piece they're looking for is not necessarily the amount of time they're pouring into the
Yeah.
piece. So I think there are exceptions, but I think that there's a lot of beauty in the
Yeah.
swap.
Yeah, like a guy that's like dipping branches in ink and like slapping them against canvas.
Yeah, I haven't had anything like that, so I have nothing to complain about.
No, I know. But what
well.
about like what about like because art for art, I can actually could see that being the diciest because it's very personal, right?
It's always with people I know, though. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm initiating. Well, actually, I did one time. Like I initiated it with a jeweler. She just really loved the squirrel piece I did, and I didn't have the painting sold. So I was like, I can send you just like a whole pack of cards if you want. And she like designed and made herself a squirrel bracelet. I feel like I won big time over it.
Yeah.
Um, I got an original squirrel bracelet that I absolutely love. That's in brass with turquoise eyes and stuff.
I'll tell you some of my favorite trades that I've made.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yours are going to be so good.
Well, no, it's not just for art. My favorite one is probably my son's braces.
That's good.
Uh,
That's a really good trade.
that was a big win. Uh, I'm just now about to receive the benefit of I traded 3 paintings for my kitchen remodel from my uh son-in-law cabinetry business, which I consider a pretty good win. Um, I've done that before already on another house. I got to be careful. Um, let me think of uh, it doesn't have to just be for art. And it's interesting how uh people that are non-artists, some people really like undervalue you. They'll say, it's like, can I have somebody? I've had a lot of people ask me, can I have that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, that's how I make my living, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, so what's the value of that? And I'll tell them, and they'll be like, oh no, there's no way I'd pay that. I can't pay that much money for that. And it's like, and actually that conversation with having the braces was really funny, uh, because he talked about, he was looking at my artwork in the gallery, and so I held him to the dollar figures of what was in the gallery. And at the beginning, he
Yeah.
was like, "No, this is absurd. This is like, that's too, he's not getting a good deal from it." But at the end, he
Yeah.
felt like he was the winner because, uh, you know, the pricing the pricing worked out to his advantage. So
Yeah. He showed up with Matt. Matt's teeth were all all over the place.
yeah,
You show up and he's like, wait a second, you didn't tell me about his teeth.
No, it
I
makes
need
me
it.
think of that.
Did he ask for a photo before?
well, um,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It was, well, it wasn't Matt.
Oh yeah.
But it was my son and his son were very, very good friends.
Okay.
So it, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just picturing braces like that Simpson episode, where Bart had to get the cheap braces.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of like external wear.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of headgear.
Yeah.
well, he made up for it on the number of retainers I had to buy. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I tried putting in my retainer from like 10 years ago. And it was like apparently I was supposed to be wearing it this whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, on the topic of trading, when I went with my sister-in-law to get Gianna I always mix it up. When we got married, I got her just like a wedding ring. Nobody told me that there's like engagement ring and wedding ring.
You didn't know
Uh,
that?
and I did not know that. Yeah. So
You just didn't look at any women's hands ever?
I don't know. I only ever heard about wedding ring and I thought there's just one ring. And so it was like a year later, Danny, my sister-in-law, was like, you've got to fix this. You've got to get her a band, right? And we went to a jeweler and it's like clockwork with me. Whenever I'm in any setting like that, it gets to the final part of it. We get to the price. He tells me the price, and I go, "You got a kid that wants to go to art school?" Yeah. And he was like, "No, I don't have a kid." And I was like, "Oh, dang, maybe a nephew, niece." Yeah, like, nope. It was like, all right. Yeah.
Gotta try. That
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like a carpet salesman. of, of I'm like, or like a vacuum, door-to-door vacuum salesman. Yeah. Somebody asked, Cassandra, have you ever worked with only palette knives? Or,
I've definitely worked with them in my painting, but I've never done a piece only with palette knives.
uh-huh.
Like I really like the textures. Often, like I did, my rock lobster piece, where it was like a surfing rock lobster. The waves, I couldn't get any of the movement of the waves with brushes. And the minute I thought of John, how he works with palette knives, and so I pulled out the palette knife, and immediately the water all started working. Like it was
Really?
the perfect tool for the moment. So I like it. I use it a lot in my backgrounds. But I should try a piece just all palette knives. That could be a good challenge.
Yeah.
I started using palette knives when I was trying to loosen up my work, trying to use something I couldn't control. And
Mhm.
it was like the perfect thing for that. And doing bigger paintings, I just made an investment last week and I haven't tried them yet, but these are my two new palette knives.
Whoa. You could like cut a pie with that.
Yeah.
That's probably all they'll be good for. Um,
That's awesome. I'm gonna need to see you demoing with those, please.
but painter I like a lot, uses painting knives like that in his work. And I watched him doing a video, something he posted, and I was like, I gotta try that.
Probably what happens to me.
I'm not gonna mention his name because I don't want to fail. If I figure it out, I'll let you know who it was.
Awesome.
I'm gonna say it is time to move on to the third and final pose. Please share your work with us. It's hashtag drawing hive, hashtag Ripley Hive, and add visual arts passage. Um, please share it. And now don't wait till the end. When you wait till the end, I do think it really does lower your chances of it getting featured. And yeah, share it with us. We're going to check it out. Um, I know Adam said he was going to be a little late tonight, and I was going to wait for Art News until Adam got here, but I think we're going to move over to Art News in a few minutes.
I think he just texted he can't make it after all. He thought he could.
Uh-oh. That's okay.
Can I answer a question real quick for
Absolutely. Please
um
do.
Xander was asking about not being precious. So Xander, when I say not being precious, this is an example of not being precious. Like by picking supplies that I am not stressing out over, like just cardboard. For me, I'm okay if this is a fail or I'm excited if it's a win, but letting me have stuff that I'm not setting myself up to have to be something that's needs to be perfect because it was expensive lets me feel looser and experiment. Like, it's you see me paint on cardboard every week, but for me, this still is experimentation. I never draw first. I just immediately hop in with a silhouette and just figure it out as I go. And that kind of experimentation happens because I'm not worried that this has to be in a gallery and has to go somewhere. This lets me just make something in the moment and I'll see what it is. And some weeks it works really well. Some weeks I've had some pretty rough fails here with you all. And it's okay because it's cardboard and I just chuck it in the corner and I know I'll bring some new cardboard for the next time. So I think by letting yourself have the freedom to fail because you're not holding too tightly gives an opportunity to have freedom to be um, more inspired and try things that are different. So I think does that help? Does that explain not being precious? Like when I'm working on a big piece, I've learned a lot by not being precious in this moment to let myself let go on the
Mhm.
bigger pieces. So the more I'm able to do that, I think the more success I get in creating new pieces. Sorry, I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Good answer. And then I'm going to hold off on the rest. We got one more good question. We'll save it for the tail end. but now we've got art news.
Yeah.
Okay. The first is a bit of an in memoriam. Frank Stella passed away
Yeah.
recently. And I'm just gonna read Frank Stella's bio that's on ArtNet. I thought it was nice. Frank Stella is an American artist best known for his use of geometric patterns and shapes in creating both paintings and sculptures. Arguably one of the most influential living American artists. ArtNet always likes to make really, really bold statements. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, Stella's works,
Oh.
yeah, and also kind of dated. It it could have a geometry that had a narrative impact. In other words, you could tell a story with the shapes, he's explained. It wouldn't be a literal story, but the shapes and the interaction of the shapes and colors would give you a narrative sense. Um, uh, Stella was immersed in the heyday of abstract expressionism, but it was the work of Jasper Johns that inspired Stella's black paintings of 1958 through 60. Uh, these flatly painted, austere works helped open up the doors to minimalism. Um, Frank Stella passed away on May 4th, 2024. And this is some of the work. That's his daughter.
Aw.
Yeah.
He definitely was iconic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like almost every museum I go to, there is a piece by him in it.
Really?
Oh,
Mhm.
Cassandra, this was like 20 years ago. Friend of mine, he was a friend of a friend, and I got to know him better. He moved to Kansas City. I getting to know him better. One day he finally said, my father's an art collector, um, has a collection. If you're ever, if and he's from Omaha, because could you ever get to Omaha or we're there for a reason, you should let me know. And I think you would like seeing it.
Mhm.
That's like always like a warning, sign for me because you don't know what
Right. Come see my etchings.
yeah, you don't know what they're collecting. So I didn't act on it or anything. And I end up going to our mutual friend gets married.
Mhm.
So my wife and I go up there and he's at the wedding. He goes, "Come on, we got to do it. Just, let's go over. I want to show you my father's collection." So uh I drive over to this guy's house, and as I driving up the driveway, there's a William Chamberlain sculpture in the driveway, which is just an iconic sculptor. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And then I see the house, and it's just like this architectural digest, gorgeous, piece of architecture. And I walk in the front door, and my favorite demon corn paintings.
No way.
Yep. I was absolutely shocked. And he was good friends with Frank Stella.
No
Oh,
way.
really?
Frank Stella, Eric Fischel, whole group of people helped him buy his collection. This guy's name was Harley Schrager, and he had this massive collection that he bought during the 80s and 90s. And it was, uh, he had Rauschenberg, he had Diebenkorn, he had Picasso's, he had everybody, and he had a whole room, probably 7 or 8 Stellas that just filled this room. And I was literally like, what an idiot I am,
Were you just like, can we be best friends? And I
Yeah,
could just come visit the Diebenkorn.
I was just blown away.
I have a question, John, that you might be able to kind of field regarding like kind of like blue chip art. Oh, if you look at like, I guess the idea of blue chip art all through history, just like the cream of the crop. Do you feel that, taking into account inflation and like average wages and whatnot, that art is being valued higher today than it ever has been, or no?
Um, I just think it's on a trajectory. It just keeps going up. It's just
Uh-huh. So yes, yeah.
Yes, but I know that I just read something of, uh, uh, I can't think of, oh, Basquiat,
Uh-huh.
that they didn't get it, it was an auction. They were expecting to get more than they did. And
Uh-huh.
instead of getting, 38 million, they got 32 million for this particular painting.
You can't
Uh,
do anything. You can't do anything with 32
I
million.
know. Well, it's like, I know. Well,
That's my
Don't
favorite line.
change.
That's my favorite line from Succession. So he
oh yeah.
goes, $5 million, you'll be the
Oh yeah.
poorest, you'll be the poorest rich man in the world.
Talking about the inheritance,
Yeah.
oh no,
You can't do anything with $5 million. It's a burden.
Can you guys explain just real quick what a blue chip artist is? Because I feel like this is a term used a lot in the art world that is not always defined for everyone.
John, you go ahead.
Well, I always refer to it as like the people that are iconic, the people that are at the top that, it's like, my dad was lucky enough to, or I don't know how you want to say that, but towards the end of his life, the Marlborough Gallery carried his drawings. And to go into that gallery and see all these blue chip artists, the people that were already in they were already in the art history books, and just amazing, amazing artists. And that's a blue chip gallery. And it's like,
I would guess it also implies that there's a bit of a stability in the value of the art,
probably,
correct? Like, I mean, more stability than there is maybe in other artwork.
just how I deal with everything is I probably should look up the definition and why they call them blue chip artists, but I just assumed it was financially secure, uh established artist that has made their mark and
Yeah.
has extreme value.
No, that's a great definition. I just feel like it's one of those terms that is used so much, and I have so many people that are just like, "What is it? What does blue chip mean?" So I just wanted
I
you
mean,
to real quick
I mean,
break it down.
it's from the stock market, and
Yeah,
it's, I
like a
mean,
blue chip
just
stock.
yeah, blue chip stock, and I mean, it just I think implies that probably like
It's worth a substantial amount of money.
yeah, so like yeah, the market cap on the stock would be high. You know, the company has like a reputation for good finance, and then probably X number of years. And
Hmm.
I would guess that that translates to the art world pretty easily when you're just looking at like sales. Like you're not looking at the art, you're just looking at like like what is the consistency of the sale? Is the person making it rob like is there anything about them that's could affect it, things like that. Um the culture, I think like I don't know. But I would guess that it's still pretty subjective in the art world.
Well, everything is subjective in
Yeah.
the world, so yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it isn't. Like because it does seem like something you could get pretty technical with.
Yeah,
Um,
Xander posted a definition. Thank you, Xander. It says the
yeah.
term blue chip derives from the stock market and refers to a stock or stocks in reputable, profitable business, as mentioned. I feel like this isn't really talking about in the art world, though, but where it is in the stock market. But yeah, it's of things that have reached a certain level of value and
Yeah.
stability in the value, and it is considered most likely to continue in an upward direction of
Yeah.
value, is my understanding.
So the consensus is that I nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. Next. Anyways, rest in peace, Frank Stella. Um, that's
Sorry,
he
Frank. Passed away at 86.
lived a long life. So
Hmm.
and made it I clearly left a long impression on many people. Okay, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
This is in the category Cassandra sent it. Richest people do the darndest things. Um, I'm gonna leave the name. We're gonna play a fun game. I'm gonna leave the name of the billionaire. I'm not gonna say it, and then we're gonna guess which portrait was the billionaire.
Oh, I love this.
All right.
John's gonna have to guess because I know.
Australia's richest billionaire has demanded that the National Gallery of Australia remove their portrait by Vincent Namatjira from the artist's solo exhibition at the institution. This is Vincent in the photo. Um, Namatjira, who is the first Indigenous person to win the country's prestigious Archibald Award in 2020 for his portrait of Indigenous footballer Adam Goodis, is accused of rendering the billionaire in unflattering manner. But the NGA has challenged the patron's demand, stating since 1973, when the National Gallery acquired Jackson Pollock's Blue Poles, there's been a dynamic discussion on the artistic merits of work in the National Collection. We present works of art to the Australian public to inspire people to explore, experience, and learn about art. So now, which portrait, and it's going to be pretty easy because a lot of these are obviously people that are not around anymore, and one of them is him. Which portrait do you think is the billionaire?
John, you have to guess because I already know.
I'll say I'm just quickly glancing at it. Top row, fourth over.
Here? That's a pretty good guess.
It is a good guess.
It is a good guess. If anybody in the chat. Oh, thanks, Xander. You spoiled it. The answer is Gina. Gina was the billionaire that was upset.
Huh.
And
With a what's that smell expression.
yeah, what's that smell? Gina is the country's richest woman and is an oil tycoon. So I have waffled on this. When you first sent it, Cassandra,
Mhm.
I immediately lasered in, didn't even read the article, lasered in on the thumbnail and was like, it's definitely Gina. And I was like, this guy did her pretty dirty. Not knowing anything about her. And now I'm like, oil tycoon in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I were the billionaire, but it's also one of those things where it's like, did she put herself on the chopping block by like, was there like an opt-in on this or,
No,
you
I
know?
mean it's an obvious statement
Yeah. You know what
that
I
he's
mean?
kind of making. To me,
Yeah.
it comes across as like the rich people always have an opportunity and the money to get the most flattering portrait possible. And
Right.
so I think it's an opportunity to have a different voice with it. And I thought it was very provocative, but I'm glad that the museum backed him up to let him have the voice that he wanted in reference to it.
Yeah. And then he responded as of 4 hours ago with a total burn. His response, one sentence: I paint the world as I see it.
That's a perfect response because that's what he's doing
pretty,
here. It's portrait.
pretty good burn. Pretty good burn.
Yeah.
I would go ahead and say pretty. I mean, if you're just looking at it from like what that person looks like, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. But I mean, oil tycoon. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Not a big fan of Gina.
I think I stand by the artist's
I
choice.
do too. I do too. But my first reaction was like, I would definitely make a demand.
And I will also say I don't blame Gina for not being excited about it, but I feel like if she kept her head down, a lot of people wouldn't have noticed it. But by her speaking it up, um, I'm excited that we get to talk about it today.
Yes. And you know what that's called?
Hmm.
That is called the Streisand effect.
Oh, I did not know there was a term.
Yes. So Barbara Streisand, this is like early days of Google, what do you call it? Google Maps, like the like satellite images of Earth, right? And Barbara Streisand owned this ridiculous oceanfront property, like compound. It was like absurd.
Hmm.
And I think this was before most of the world was like accustomed to like billionaire like compounds, like 2007, 2008. And
Hmm.
so Barbara Streisand um, tried to legally, because she was so ashamed of how absurd her property was, that she wanted to keep Google from being able to capture images of it with satellite imagery that would be available to the public.
Oh my gosh.
And so she legally pursued and attempted to stop them from being able to do it. And in doing so, created tons of headlines and tons of attention that basically was just all about how spoiled Barbara Streisand is. And so it's called the Streisand effect, is when you basically draw attention to a thing
Right.
you don't want attention to by trying to stop it. Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't consider the thing like, well, I could move.
I could move. I could maybe not own a property that's so absurd it makes me guilty.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But yeah. And then Gary. So yeah. Yeah, that's that. I've completely flipped. Gina got what Gina deserved. But we were talking about, like, I think my initial thought was like billionaire portrait. I thought I always imagine a billionaire like posing for the portrait. And I was like, I'd be pretty upset if I hired for a portrait. And this is just not that scenario. Like if I hired a portrait, but then I was also like, what kind of egomaniac would I have to be to
Well,
like,
did you see,
And that's the thing. He
you see the
wasn't
Kate
hired to
Bell's
paint her.
portrait?
He chose to paint her.
oh, we're John, it's up on he's on the chopping block next.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, he chose, she didn't. Yeah. Cause I was like, I was telling Cassandra, I was like, if I walked into anyone's house and there was a portrait that's like life size or larger of them, and they're like not like they paid big money, to have a portrait
And they're in a
of them.
tight sweater and
Yeah. And it's like really regal. I couldn't, I don't think I could look at that person the same way after that. Yeah. Yeah. Man, Xander is like on a roll spoiling the news tonight. Just jumping ahead. All right. Next up, we've got
oh, there we go.
King Charles. The first official portrait since coronation is unveiled, painted by Jonathan Yeo. Did I say that right, Cassandra? Or do you know? Sorry. I
It
should have checked.
sounds good to me. I have
Okay,
horrible
apologize. I
pronunciation.
thought
I've
maybe
never heard it pronounced before.
Yeah, I've only ever read it, honestly.
I usually try to do the Google pronounce before, but I messed up. All right. The first official painted portrait of King Charles III since his coronation has been unveiled at Buckingham Palace. The vast oil on canvas shows a larger than life King Charles in the uniform of the Welsh Guards. The vivid red work, measuring about 8 feet 6 inches by 6 feet 6 inches, was by Jonathan Yeo, who has also painted Tony Blair, Sir David Attenborough, and Malala Yousafzai.
He also painted Camilla and I think Princess Kate.
Oh, well, Queen Camilla looked at the painting and said, "Yes, you've got him." He's depicted sword in hand with a butterfly landing on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
The artist joked, if this was seen as treasonous, I could literally pay for it with my head, which would have been appropriate way for a portrait painter to die, to have their head removed. He wasn't super confident. Sounds like he has a pretty good sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's
The king was initially surprised by the strong color, but otherwise seemed to smile approvingly. Um, and so it's outside of this article, it's kind of I think that there's like two camps. Would you say that, Cassandra?
yeah, two very strong camps. I
Yeah, and
haven't
I'll
heard
also
anybody.
say, the butterfly references the king's long-held interest in the environment.
Also, it's
Yeah.
believed it could also be that he's hoping to be seen as a gentle king.
Okay.
That there's like a dual symbology in that.
Uh-huh. I could see that. There you go.
So
Um,
like I'm fascinated by this portrait. Utterly fascinated because I think in one hand it's a really interesting piece of art. Like it made me think of Klimt. You know how Klimt was very busy in the background with patterning and then it brought focus to the face. So I think in that aspect it's really successful. But like the choice of color and how he used the color gives a lot of mixed feelings for people.
Mhm.
Some people strongly against it and find abhorrent. Did you see Prince Charles's reaction when he pulled the sheet off of it?
No,
Oh, it's fun. He just kind of jumps back a bit.
really.
Like, whoa.
I
So
mean, yeah.
I think it's a cool piece. I think it's memorable. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I also understand why there's a lot of complicated feelings and reactions to it. You sent me a GIF earlier or meme, and that I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize that it's become like part of mini memes.
Mhm.
Which honestly might be the best thing that could happen to your art now. I mean, like as far as like eyeballs seeing it, but
Mhm.
it started with Ray sent me a meme of it's being examined by the Ghostbusters in Ghostbusters 2. Like they do like the evil portrait of the
I
guy
went down
that's
the
like,
rabbit hole researching that portrait one day, by the way.
yeah. Oh, really? And then I sent Cassandra the portrait, which is like it just the meme that is like the King Charles portrait just looks like Tupperware after you put pasta in it once. Which that was pretty funny. But John, you are I mean, you knew it was gonna be on news already. What were your thoughts?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it specifically?
Oh, I just think it's a very interesting painting.
Really?
I love how elusive most of it is, and then bringing focus to the head, to the head and the hands, I think is well done. I mean, I, I mean, you could put a black background in there and, pull that head out of there. I don't think it would, or you could try to do something that was more traditional, as a traditional portrait. But I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that Charles is a big supporter of artists too, so I can see why he would want somebody to do something a bit different.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's well done, and it's interesting that you know they knew what they were getting. I mean, they had to have known. They can
He's
see.
personally sat 4 times for this artist while it was being worked on, like
Yeah.
progressively. So there can't be too much of a shock for him.
It's cool that it does feel like a big swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
You don't
sure.
see a big swing on like that stage often, you know?
I'm sure it's very different than what hangs in the halls of Buckingham Palace.
And I think that was an intentional move on his part.
That's very true. I bet it, John, you're totally right. I bet nothing. I bet it sticks out so intensely.
I mean, it's gonna be near a Hans Holbein the Younger. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that's that's tough.
Do you think that you mentioned, Cassandra, what people were thinking about the red background? Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that there's any, it doesn't seem likely, but is there any chance that it was like a subversive shot?
Not from this artist, but a lot of
Yeah.
people are interpreting it this way. Because this
Okay.
artist, he's, done several portraits for the royal family previously.
Uh-huh.
So, I think on his part, the uniform is red. And I think
Right.
he just took that color and then just played with making him kind of fade into the background and just let the face shine through it.
Right.
And that I think it's
Yeah.
more of a discussion of him trying to say he's more man than king, or
Uh-huh.
that's how I'm interpreting it. But the color I think could be unfortunate in the interpretation that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say it pretty simply. We're not saying that it is, but there's been this like people have conjectured that it was like kind of the same color of blood.
Yeah.
But it seemed pretty far fetched, like you said, because the artist is not. I mean, I don't know. It's just like John said, like it's like a highly vetted process, you know?
He's worked with them before.
Yeah. What an incredible mole he would be to get all to get all the way to the king.
To do, four
Yeah.
royal portraits and then get
Yeah.
to this one and be like, and now I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
So,
think it's smart. It's memorable.
uh-huh.
Like when I think of the other ones of Queen Elizabeth II, like they're interesting portraits, but I wouldn't say that they're particularly memorable. This is a memorable portrait, so it's smart in that aspect. Just like Candy Wiley's portrait of Obama, like there was a lot of feelings about it. It's an absolutely epically amazing, beautiful portrait, but there was a lot of people who were offended by the floral patterns around him and didn't feel like it took his position of power seriously. So there's always going to be a lot of opinions around art, especially when it's political figures.
Mhm. Somebody asked, what do you think the requirement, what is the responsibility of an artist in capturing like likeness, but flattering and not being cruel and in a portrait?
I think
Or
it
like,
depends who's
yeah,
commissioning you to do the portrait. Is it the person?
do you have to appease the person commissioning it? Is it your job,
Mm, I think it depends on who's commissioning you. John's had way more portrait work, though.
Well, um, almost all the well, a lot of the portraits I did were of dead people for the illustration world. So, um, and then I've done a lot of portraits of famous people, but it wasn't a portrait per se for them. I figured out real quickly that I wasn't really cut out to do that type of work. Um, there's a whole lot of schmoozing, a lot of doing like commission portrait is I don't like doing that. Trying to make somebody happy, they have an opinion, you're buying it usually of them, for them, and then they think they look differently than you think they look.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes the right personality of the artist to do that. I'm not really equipped at that.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, I always think of John Singer Sargent. He would always extend the fingers, especially of ladies, like like a digit or two, so that they had really long, elegant hands. So that helped make them look better. Just knowing those little tricks of holding on to the likeness while flattering them.
Yeah.
John, that's looking cool.
I don't know.
I know, it looks awesome.
Well, I like your cat.
Thanks. That's it's a beautiful photo of this little Maine Coon.
It really is. Well, the one thing I've discovered about working this way
Mhm.
is you really get messy. I'll definitely look like an artist when I'm done.
Nice. Is it like when you were working with pastels and you're just surrounded by dust?
Uh, no, this is just like holding paint in your hand. It's not that bad. I'll survive.
I would struggle. I'm a dabber, so I feel like I would just like have all my fingers covered.
You're talking about working with palette knife. Uh, almost almost start all my paintings with a palette knife, just to get somewhere quickly. And I like the mark making and the texture from it. And um, I end up looking like Edward Scissorhands because I have a group of them right here, but I'll have one because I don't want to clean them that much. So I'll be holding like, you know, this is what would be in my hands all the time. I still have a brush, I'm moving this around in my crayons, and that's what my left hand looks like all the time.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Weren't you telling me you were having trouble one time because you were working in acrylic, but holding all your brushes and forgetting to stick them in the water or something?
Oh, I was doing these I was blocking stuff in class one day, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot that I was working in acrylics, and I still had them all in my hands. They were all dried out.
This is the trouble with mixed media. You got to remember which one you're working with.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have to keep experimenting with this and figuring out which colors do what.
Mm.
Because I'm right now I'm a little baffled.
I feel like you need to just like get a sheet of paper and just put each color down and then mineral spirits over it and see what they all turn into.
Yeah. Well, that would be the smart way, but probably not gonna happen.
Ha. Somebody's curious, what kind of personality do you need for doing portraits, John? What does that mean?
Um, you have to be willing to appease the customer beyond being sensible. I did you know, I've done quite a few recently over the last, I don't know, last 10 years. I've done a lot of like friends of mine will ask me to do drawings of their kids. So I'll do drawings of their kids. And that's pretty safe because the kids don't have say in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did this drawing for a neighbor of mine who I knew pretty well, and he's become uh, the CEO of a fairly large business here in Kansas City. And I loved the drawing I did of his daughter, really interesting looking, probably 13 or 14 years old at the time. And um, they brought it back to me like a year later and asked me if I could fix it because they change it because her daughter had her nose fixed.
Oh no.
And it was it was a really weird thing. It was like what I wanted to say. I didn't. I was, you know,
Smart.
I thought about it. I said, this is like the Jennifer Grey syndrome going on here. I said,
Oh,
she had the nose was the best part. I mean, it was like her best feature. It was she was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And
This is not this, that's so dicey.
oh yeah. So
Yeah.
um I fixed it twice. I worked on
That
it.
was nice of you.
Yeah. And I still have the drawing. They never liked it.
oh man.
And I was just like, man, it was a good drawing.
That's what I would do if I had if I had kids and like I was gonna do the portraits of them, I'd be like, we're gonna wait until you're at your most awkward stage. Which I think would be about 13 or 14.
Right. Like
And then we're
that's
gonna get your portraits in, which I was telling Cassandra, I was like, the only commissioned portrait, like self-portrait where you're like, you're like, okay, I've come into a lot of money. I'm going to reach out to an artist that is really skilled, and I'm going to ask them to draw me and my family. The only version of that I respect is if you go to the artist and you're just like, just roast us, just make it like carnival, uh, like Chris Payne us.
Well, I'm gonna this is a really good story. And Cassandra will appreciate this more than I think most in the room. Some of you will know who he is, but Timmy, you may not. Um, Chris had he commissioned Philip Burke to do portraits of his sons. And any of you that knows who Philip Burke is, did a ton of work for Rolling Stone magazine, really exaggerated uh, portraits, and he's great at it. But he did this painting of his sons that are, I mean, it's literally 5 feet tall.
His art is so cool.
Oh yeah,
So
he's
cool.
a fantastic artist.
And crazy use of color.
Yeah.
But did they like it?
Oh, Chris loves it, but he doesn't. There you go.
Yes. Look at that. Just magnificent.
Starting to be able to rein this in a little bit. Probably too much, actually, but
Looking so good.
I'm having fun doing it.
Well, that's what really matters.
Everyone, we're going to be moving to Instagram pretty soon. You probably got about 5 minutes left. So I'd start posting now. It's hashtag Ripley Hive, hashtag drawing Hive, and at Visual Arts Passage. Post it now. Don't sleep on it. We're going to be over there in about 5 minutes. So,
You know what else you shouldn't sleep on? Early bird.
yes. Early bird. May 21st. Thank you so much, Cassandra. May 21st. It's going to open and it's going to close 1 week after. There will not be an extension. There will be no extension. Because it is not fair to the people, to the actual early birds. And John and I, we try to be nice guys. And when people say, "Oh, I missed it by a day," we always try to extend it. We really aren't going to extend it. So please don't sleep on it. May 21st, it ends the day after Memorial Day. So so that's a Tuesday. So you'll have until then. It's $200 off. The discount code is CHIRP. Chirp like a bird. Uh, early bird. I thought it was pretty clever. Um, uh, but yeah, I really highly recommend it. It's the illustration fine arts programs. We've got some pretty exciting developments in illustration. I was really hoping Adam was going to be here tonight.
I
Adam,
know.
Adam Gustafson is teaching process skill and craft this next semester.
So
So that is going to be an awesome class. If you don't know Adam, he's a very accomplished children's book artist, along with being just a talented illustrator in general across the board. But it's going to be a fun, I can promise you this, it's going to be a fun class, but also you're going to learn a ton.
Mhm.
Um, and then if you're at a bit more of an advanced level, I just recommend checking out, the ideation class with Ashley or portfolio. Um, and then fine arts, obviously, if you're looking, like, we talked a lot about like gallery artists tonight and like the life of kind of a fine artist dealing with commissions. Um, Cassandra, John, and Ray teach the fine arts program and they co-teach the class. And I mean, they're an open book, and the three of you are really tapped into that world. So you're getting direct access to it. So um, May 21st, mark your calendar. Some of the classes are definitely going to fill up. Um, and I'm not going to extend it. I swear. It's going to hurt. It's going to be so painful not to extend it for you, but we're not doing it. I'm like a sucker for when people beg to like for an extension. We're not extending it. We can't. So you have to learn how to be an early bird.
So that it's not painful for Timmy.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes back to me. Yeah. No. Um, but yeah, I am excited. We've also got some killer guest speakers coming up. It's guest speaker booking season for me.
Hmm.
And it's some of the people in the inbox right now are pretty wild. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's my favorite. It's because I love to just throw crazy names at you, and then you're like, I'll go for it.
Yeah.
And you get them. And that's what blows my mind.
Sometimes I just get really nice emails from people that I'm like blown away they even responded.
Hmm.
Um, and it's because they're booked, that one artist that you recommended that I'm still in the process of booking 4 years out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Someday.
We're talking about dates in you know, 2028.
Worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I can't imagine booking your schedule out that far. Wouldn't that bother you?
I don't know. Like I book shows out 2 years in advance
Do
for
you really?
solos. Yeah. Like the solo I just had, that was a year and a half in advance. The solo I have next year, that I started booking that last year. Like they were approaching me about it and sorting out dates. So yeah.
I want to say one last thing about my experimentation thing message I was given today. It's I think it's where you grow. It's like even I'm just looking at my piece I have here, which I'm trying to figure I think I figured out how to kind of control it to a certain extent. But even the mindset of how I approached the drawing was really different. I didn't block in a shape. I just kind of chased it with line for a while. That's a great thing to do. I mean, that's a to change things up and trying to explore something different. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Someone just asked, just sorry to bounce back to it. Someone just asked, like, what is all of this? And like, can I talk with somebody about it? So if you do want to talk, you can schedule a call with us and we can talk about your goals and answer questions and just basically help you figure out, if the program is a good fit for you, if our classes are accommodate that. So if you just go, I dropped a link in the chat, and also in Discord. Um, yeah, it's like we we want to set you up for success. And if your goals are in fine arts or illustration or working with galleries, um, that's what our courses are all about. So I'm gonna head over to Instagram in a few minutes, or in a minute.
I'm gonna try to get whiskers in.
That looks great, Cassandra.
Thanks. It's such a cool cat.
This is one of the few times I'm going to say, mine looks better than it actually does. For some reason, I'm looking at the value of the red is so dark on the screen.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's extreme, but it's not that extreme.
So which one are you liking better? Are you liking better in person or on camera?
Oh, I like it better in person. It's more subtle,
Hmm.
but it looks okay on camera.
I think it looks really cool.
The the Logitech webcams usually desaturate everything pretty dramatically.
Yeah,
So
like on camera, this is looking a whole lot bluer than it is in person. These grays.
really.
Hmm.
So John, you give Ripley the stamp of approval. It's a good show.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it.
Did you watch I mean, are you familiar with Talented Mr. Ripley? Like, did you like that movie or
Yeah,
the
Matt
Damon?
Damon.
Yeah,
and what's his name of
And Kate Blanchett was in it too. Oh, yeah, I'm blanking on him suddenly.
oh my God. When
It's in
what
the holiday in Sherlock Holmes.
yeah, can't think of
wow. All three of us are blanking on this like very famous man.
He's a weeper. That's what I always remember.
Yeah,
I always get him confused with Joaquin Phoenix and it's not. It's
Oh
um,
my gosh, what happened to my brain?
I know this is painful.
I'm just gonna keep painting whiskers.
I
I don't know what
anyway,
happened.
I can see Xander's typing. Don't worry
Yes.
about it. Don't
yeah.
worry about it. It's coming. Yeah. That's cool. Well, if anybody wants anything fun and they want to support Matt Salkius, you go to punchup.live and you can pay $3 for the documentary we made.
Oh, it's $3. I didn't even know how much it cost.
$3. It's
Okay.
$3. Yeah, it's out there. It's 15 minutes. It's really great. I finished editing it. I submitted it last week, and yeah, it's fun. It's like we were working on it forever, but it's Matt followed Mark Norman around for like 6 months, and it's him making one joke. And the number of times he goes on stage, it really is. It when you watch it, you'll be like, oh, even though the joke is off, like it's a good joke, but it's like the subject matter I'm not even going to talk about. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so crude. But you're like the hours and hours toiled to get a
That one
joke
joke.
for one joke that takes up about 30 seconds. Like if he drags it out, it's just one joke. And then
That
you
is
start
that
to,
is a great idea though. I love
yeah.
that. I love showing the process because I think comedians almost have it worse than artists because so many art like people are like, oh, I just wasn't born with the ability to be an artist. You're so lucky. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's not it at all. That's not like I've
You
spent decades
remember,
on this.
Cassandra,
Yeah.
remember George's response to that he used all the time?
What?
If I could bleed through my eyes. Everybody, anytime anybody said, "Oh, I wish I was born with the talent like you have,"
Yeah.
they could just watch me bleed through my eyes.
I need to adopt that response. But I feel like comedians is so much worse. We're like, "Ah, I wish I knew how to be funny like you. Like they don't get credit for the effort.
Well, if you
Pretty
go
fun
by,
though.
I I I do believe that it's going to be a series, and so the success of the first episode will determine future because we've had some. It's been a very exciting week for me. We've had some really famous comedians reach out,
Yeah, you have.
being like the most famous ones, being like, "I want to be on this," and you're like, "What?" It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, they're not reaching out to me. That like I get the screenshot of like
I
guess.
love it though. I love the updates because it's like every time I was like, what?
Yeah, it just kept escalating too. And the first time I was like, "Oh my god," and then I'm like, "What? No way." Yeah, yeah. Matt Rife liked my post,
I
which if
love
you
it.
don't know who Matt Rife is, he's like the most handsome. Just gonna go ahead and say it. Not the best comic, but
You
but
can't
like
be good at everything.
yeah, but easily the most famous working comic right now, like by a mile. Um, and he liked my post, and I screenshotted it, and I sent it to my family, and my little brother said, "Wow, screenshot 45 seconds after he liked it." He was like, "That's not pathetic." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." All
Oh,
right, you guys ready to see some art?
wow.
Yeah,
I hope you tag Andrew Scott in that. That's
that's a good one.
beautiful.
Great stuff.
Absolutely beautiful. Oh,
Whoa.
The standard.
fantastic,
Very cool.
Andrew. Oh,
Oh, wow.
yes, you got that cat's attitude beautifully. Look at that expression.
Wow. What's going on?
I love it.
Oh,
Oh,
nice,
that
Nicole.
is so fun. That is great.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. You all had a great week.
I love this.
Sally.
I love the idea of just I love the idea of just taking a photo of him and slapping him
Yeah.
in
And then it's just like a bunch of grass became the cat. That
Yeah.
is
That's a
brilliant,
great cat
Sally.
there.
The
Cat.
cat is fantastic,
Dang.
right?
Ear shapes.
That's
Phenomenal.
brilliant. I love that.
Oh, that's lovely, Lily.
Good
Good job.
stuff.
Oh,
Wow. I think the cat was the
cat
star
for the win.
tonight.
Cat for the win. Yes, Marcy.
Good stuff.
Oh, that's great. It's really nice. Dang, Julian.
I've been through the alphabet 3 times. Jude Law.
Oh, there you go. He did it. I think I turned Xander off by saying he was going to do it. I think Xander opted out.
That's a great
Sounds
cat.
like surely somebody's
Ooh,
wow.
that's really a good likeness there. Really nice. I can't believe I could have remembered
Wow,
Jude
that's
Law.
nice.
Wow, Pete.
Wow, Pete.
That's
That's
great.
it's such a tough, there's a lot of distortion in that
It was
photograph.
a tough angle too.
It's a tough
Really?
one, but I really,
Nice, Terry.
very
Yeah.
pleasant. I like it.
Wow.
Good job. I love it when everybody like pieces them together.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Oh, it's a cat and
I
cat.
like that you have your cat posed with your cat drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus points for you.
The cat drew it.
Nice.
What are you talking about?
The cat drew it. That's a talented cat.
That's great. Oh,
Wow.
I love
Love it,
that.
Eric.
Nice, Eric.
I love the background choice. That aqua.
Eric's
Beautiful.
Eric's in the program right now.
Yep.
Oh, it's doing good stuff.
Talked to him last night in study hall.
Some great drawing. Love this cat. Yes. Everyone's cats are like
Yeah.
I had a, wow.
That's
wow.
awesome.
You got the light so well in that.
Right.
Just beautiful.
I thought the cat would be popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know our audience.
That's why they're all my friends.
Yeah. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure. Yeah.
beautiful. Look at those shapes. That is just well done.
Yeah. Our audience, mostly cat people, despite me and John being dog people.
Or
we,
just animal people. I think they're
Yeah.
animal.
I like cats too, but I'm definitely a dog person.
you're a dog man.
Yeah. I'm a ragtop man.
Good drawing.
This is good. Nice.
I
Mhm.
like convertibles.
Oh, that's
Oh, I
awesome.
love
I
that.
love it.
Love
Signature
the
cheeks.
nose. Nice.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh,
Good stuff,
wow,
Julian.
Julian.
Julian, that's really nice.
Oh, Pete.
Dang, Pete, you even got the painting on the wall?
Yeah, he did the
I thought
painting in the
it's
painting.
like a candelabra
He's
in the
got the
background.
artist's signature on the painting.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic, man.
That's
That
funny.
is darling.
Nice.
Love it.
Oh, that's
Good
fun.
job. Good ink. Or
Good
watercolor.
stuff. Oh, nice, Devin.
Wow, Devin, that's
I always love it
beautiful.
when Devin tunes in.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, Devin. Again,
Oh,
that's a tough pose.
That's such a
beautiful.
cool aesthetic.
I love your shapes for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow. Aaron,
really
that's awesome.
nice.
Aaron has the only visual arts passage inspired tattoo. Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Really?
Pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sweet.
You would think it would be one of us, Timmy, but
Yeah, I know. I stand by the deal. Is that if you have fewer than 5 tattoos and you get a visual arts passage themed tattoo, free class. But if
So
you have
did,
more than 5, no.
oh, Terry, that's great.
that's fun.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
My question is, did Aaron have more than 5?
Uh
Oh,
no, they don't. No, she just said
they,
she lost count.
they lost count.
They lost count. Yeah, yeah. I was like getting nervous. I was like, oh. I'm glad. I've always got fine print on my deals. Yeah.
That's a great drawing, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody made a
Yeah.
point, but Aaron is the first.
That's true. We'll have to think about it.
Karen, that is wonderful. I really
Wow.
like how you handled that.
I
How
love
it
it.
broke the plane. Really nice. Ooh, that's looking cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, Kathy. That's
great.
just lovely.
It's a nice drawing.
Really nice.
So is that, Randy?
Oh,
Yeah, man. Oh, look at the
Got
person in the background. That's so
Great.
cool.
Whoa.
serious mojo there.
Oh, real quick on the topic of Randy Schweitzer, I know another Schweitzer, Nate Schweitzer, who was full spread in communication arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the illustration annual for communication arts, Nate Schweitzer has attended a visual arts passage on a couple occasions, and Nate gave us a shout out. Visual arts passage in communication arts. That was so awesome.
Wow.
So congrats to Nate.
Great art runs in that family. I love
Yeah.
Randy's work. I love Nate's work. That's awesome.
Yeah. Congrats to Nate, and thanks for dropping some names. Appreciate it.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Love it.
Yeah, Karen. That's a great cat.
Wow, Karen. Hey, Karen's really gotten good.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's so fun. Yes, and I love that little pink
Great.
nose. Great job.
Karen
Thank
has
you, Jeff.
family pressures to be good.
Yes,
Oh,
she does.
Yeah.
that is a
Yeah,
fun
that was
one.
cool.
Oh
That's
wow.
a nice one.
Good stuff. Oh, that's awesome.
Ooh, Aaron, that's cool. It almost looks like cat paw prints over it,
Yeah, it
but
does,
then
doesn't
like
it?
the texture of it is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Wow. Oh, nice, Nicole.
Love that pink, that magenta.
Oh, cool.
Really nice. I love it when people take the time to do plaid.
That is awesome.
Yes.
So
Oh,
great. That's so
fantastic.
fun. Yeah, isn't it? I love those. This is so
Oh,
great. That's such a good cat.
so cool.
All right, here
So
we go. Here we go.
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
I still haven't fixed Keanu yet, but he goes, whoa.
Hey, back to I never said that. I just started thinking about that. We were talking about trades. I
Yeah,
traded with Felicity.
that's a good trade.
It's a good trade.
I won the deal.
Jeff, that was
Yeah,
fantastic.
great stuff.
Oh, nice drawing, Kathy.
Really nice, Kathy.
Awesome. Wow.
Good job.
Good stuff.
Really
That's
nice.
great.
Really
Lot more
nice.
tonight.
Wow.
Oh,
Dang.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah, great line work.
Yeah.
Dang, Gary.
Good one, Gary.
Wow.
Beautiful. Good job. Really nice.
Nice.
Ooh,
Sweet.
those are fine color choices.
That is fun. That's so
I love
funny.
that.
That is so great. I love the eyes.
Oh, there's some great choices there.
Nice.
Great
Wow.
stuff.
Beautiful, AJ.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. That's really good.
That's
Dang.
pretty
Job.
good.
Rebecca, I was hoping I was going to see yours
Oh,
because, like,
dang.
your mom was there, Felicity was there.
The whole family.
Fantastic. So good.
Wow. Gosh, a lot of people drew tonight. This is great.
Y'all are doing amazing. Yes, look at that. Those are some good angry eyes on those cats. I love
No
it.
kidding.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that is so fun.
I
That is
love the
so fun.
whiskers. They keep getting better. I mean, they just
Look at
it's just
that.
like it just everybody's challenging
Thank
each
you.
other, just ramping and ramping. Oh, nice.
Just wonderful.
That's a charming drawing, Gary.
It really is.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Great job.
Man, a lot of people posted drawings tonight.
I know, right?
Oh, thank you. This is awesome.
Some new people too.
Yes. So good.
Welcome to the Hive. Thank you.
Yeah, hope you
Fantastic.
enjoyed drawing with us.
Yeah, if this is your first time joining, it's every Thursday night. We'll have a new theme next week. That was fun. That was so much
That was
fun.
super fun. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks everybody.
Cassandra, thanks for being here. Timmy, always good. And everybody else that drew with us, thanks for joining.
Yeah, have a nice night, guys.
Hope
a
you
great
enjoyed
week.
it.